Fanhaters is a song that stands for one of the bad pursuits, which is the hate. As I mentioned in the previous video, the song was originally called Haters Gonna Hate, and similarly to Wrong Doors and Lonely Crossing, this song required a complete rewrite. Unlike these two tracks, however, Fanhaters basically remained the same subject matter and the same topic. Now you'll be able to see the original Haters Gonna Hate lyric, and as you can see, the execution was pretty poor, so that's why I decided to actually rewrite it so that, you know, it's something I can present myself with. I remember that rewriting it was really hard and it took me like a lot of time. I remember that writing Fanhaters and Lonely Crossings kind of happened at the same time. I think it was sometime before summer 2020 when I rewrote it. Couple of stories behind this track. Let's start. Have you ever encountered haters? It doesn't really matter if you do art or sport, whatever you do in your life, you can get criticized for it and essentially you can get some hate. I'm gonna mention a few examples and there's gonna be more examples in the video where I'm gonna talk about the making of the music video of Fanhaters, which sort of takes this subject and builds up on it and expands it quite a lot. There was this guy who I'm gonna call the ultimate fan hater, and I'm gonna mention him quite a few times. He was the guy who I recorded my 2012 4-track demo with. Haters Gonna Hate was actually one of the tracks, and it was quite funny that I was recording that song in his home studio and he was actually one of the people that it was about. I was in this band called Graceful. We were like a rock group. We had an acoustic gig that was, I think, in like summer 2012. It was just the guitar player and me, and we needed to borrow the PA system. So we borrowed it from one of the musicians who was also working with the Ultimate Fan Hater. And after the gig, we brought the PA back to the house, and there were quite a few people. There were like, I think like 7 or 8 people, and they asked me like, do you want to hang around? Do you want to stay here with us? And I was like, no, I'm really tired. I want to go home and rest after the gig. And they actually sat down in circle, and for like a couple hours they were talking shit about me behind my back. Some of those people I worked with, some of them were like fellow musicians, some of them were just like people I knew. How do I know about this? The guitar player from Graceful actually told me about this, which I consider to be a huge act of trust. Also, at that time, we were recording our second album at this guy's home studio because we had recorded our first album in a different studio, but it didn't really have a great sound. So this Ultimate Fan Hater was actually very talented audio engineer. So I kind of persuaded the guitar player from the band, like, let's go here, let's record the album with him because he's really good. And many times I would be there recording my vocals. And when I left, he would look at the guitar player and say, I think you should fire Roman, you need a better singer. This was also something that the guitar player told me about, which I'm very grateful for. All of these things sort of led to me being fired from the group eventually. Even I lost a lot of my self-confidence, you know, like I remember we were recording this one song and the guitar player was like, wow, this is really perfect, you nailed it. And I was like, I don't know, it's just not really that good. And he was like, what's wrong with it? Like, how better can it get? So the impact that this Ultimate Fan Hater with a few other people had on me was that I completely lost my self-confidence. And then a couple of years later, I was listening to those recordings, to those sessions, and I was like, oh my God, like I was great. Like I delivered great vocal performances. This is basically what the first verse in the Fan Haters is about. Who are fan haters? Now, I think that the title of the track, Fan Haters, is very original, and basically fan haters are your biggest fans. They love everything you do, they check everything you do, they admire you. The only difference is that they express it through giving you dislikes and writing hateful comments. Hence the term fan hater. This is something you might have heard already, but you will never be criticized by people who do more or the same amount of work as you do. You will always get criticized by people who do much less. Of course, there are exceptions. Even when I look at all of the people who hated me in my life, on all of the fan haters, there were a few of them who were like genuinely talented people. So why did they hate on me? I think that the only answer I can give is that probably they considered me to be much more talented, much more hardworking, and they just couldn't take it. This is what the whole mid-section in Fan Haters is about. Why do some people hate and dislike? So why are they haters? When I was with this ultimate fan hater recording my demos, he was always making fun of other people. A good example is there was this guy we both knew, he was a singer, and he would have his photo on a monitor and he would delete his hair, so he basically looked bald, and he was like, ha, look, he's bald. And I was like, what's funny about that? At that time, that ultimate fan hater was also a bass player in one group, and they had at that time slightly overweight singer, and whenever the singer called him, he was like, ah, look, Fatso is calling me. I'm like, why do you call him Fatso? Aren't you supposed to be like longtime friends? And he was making fun of a lot of people when I was there, and for kind of stupid reasons. Sometime after that, I hanged out with this guy who he made bald, and he asked me like, was he making fun of me? Like, was he doing something with my pictures? I'm like, how do you know that? Well, he was doing the same thing with you. And I was like, of course, if he was making that type of fun from people in front of me, it's just obvious that he would do the same to me, and he would make the same fun out of me in front of other people. Probably the strongest argument haters have is like, whoa, it's just my opinion. I am entitled to express my opinion even if it's negative. If you are happy in your life, if you have a balanced life, you don't need to hate on other people. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to like everything you come across. Obviously, there are many songs and artists I don't like, but I don't give them a dislike. I don't write a hateful comment. I move on with my life. This is basically what the second verse is about in the song.
Coming to illusion, you can't judge it all. The lack of any talent is your downfall. The tragedy is that it's your only life. Crushing dreams and feeding off of it, let's not parasite.
I think that if somebody has this need to hate and dislike, it comes from a place of childhood trauma. These are people who probably were bullied, or maybe their parents were mocking them. Like with this ultimate fan hater, I once experienced this thing where his father was kind of mocking him. So I think it's only natural that if the whole time he was growing up, his father was like this to him, probably this is why he behaves in the same way, because he doesn't know any better. These people actually need help, and it's very sad that usually these haters are just victims in the first place. And it comes from a place of like a huge mental pain. So even though I will be talking about this more in the making of the Fanhaters music video and a lot of the inspirations behind the music video, I want to end this video on a kind of a positive note. Whenever you encounter a hater, there are many times even when I am kind of swift with them and I just put them down. Usually haters are very easy to put down, but maybe try to kill them with kindness. If you ever encounter a hater, maybe give them love, because that's what they really need. There was this one video that I made on my YouTube. It was one of the worst to best videos. And there was this guy who wrote 3 separate comments, picking 3 separate words that I mispronounced in English language. And at first I wanted to write him something very saucy and kind of put him down, because that's very easy with haters. And I checked his profile, and he actually had his own YouTube channel. He was this kind of a little bit overweight 40+ guy who was living in his parents' basement. His YouTube channel had literally just a few views. I actually started feeling sorry for him, and I was like, I'm not gonna be bad to him because I think life has been bad to him already. On one of those comments I wrote him, wow, thank you for pointing it out. I didn't know it and I learned something because of you. Thanks a lot. You can imagine that he never responded back to me, obviously. I don't think he probably took it the right way, but whenever you encounter haters, kill them with kindness. Give them love. Love is the answer.